I bought the lake house to escape, to find peace, to fish, to read, to breathe. But one morning, right as the sun hit the water, I woke up to the sound of bulldozers. And when I stepped outside, still in my robe, coffee in hand, I saw them. The HOA, not trimming hedges or checking fences. No, they were laying concrete, right on my property. At first I thought maybe it was a mistake, a zoning error, a prank, until I saw the banner. Big, bold, and ugly. Sunset Shore Resort, private members only. That was the moment I realized. This wasn't just arrogance. It was war. And what they didn't know was that they'd picked the wrong guy. Because while they were building tiki bars and overpriced cabanas, I was building something else, something they'd never see coming. They took my lake, so I took everything else. The lakefront community was supposed to be quiet, quaint, HOA run. Sure, but manageable. I'd bought the house after retiring early from tech. Thought I'd finally live the dream, paddleboarding at dawn, grilling at dusk. Then there was Deborah, president of the HOA, the type who wore a whistle, like jewelry. Her power trip was subtle at first. Emails about my mailbox color, citations for having unapproved bird feeders. I laughed it off, at first. Then came the meetings. Community enrichment, she called it. In reality, it was a front for her real dream, a full-blown lakeside resort. Funded by us, the residents. Built on my land, conveniently adjacent to the water. I declined, of course, politely. She smiled and said, "Oh, no worries. We'll figure it out." That's when the surveys started, followed by soil tests. A week later, strange men with clipboards were trespassing on my lawn. I called the HOA, left voicemails. No reply. Then came the notice. Construction scheduled to begin May 1st, minor. Lakefront adjustments anticipated, minor. They were about to turn my personal shoreline into a freaking Margaritaville. And when I confronted them at the next meeting, Deborah smiled and said, "Well, if you really want to keep the land, you could always sell." That was just the beginning. It started with routine landscaping. They ripped out my dock, replaced it with some tasteless fiberglass bar. They called it community access. I got slapped with daily fines, $75 for resisting HOA development, $150 for non-compliance with shoreline aesthetics, $200 for unauthorized signage, which was just a handmade sign that said private property. Deborah told neighbors I was unstable, that I was hoarding the lake. I lost friends. People I'd shared beers with now crossed the street when I walked by. One night I found a drone hovering by my window. Next day, a citation for having unauthorized security measures. They installed cameras on poles facing my house. Community safety, they said. Then came the straw. I came home from a weekend hike and found a freaking wedding happening. On my backyard. White chairs, string lights, champagne. I lost it. Called the cops. But Deborah showed them a document, some sketchy land use amendment I'd never signed. The officer shrugged. "Civil matter," he said. That night I didn't sleep. Because it wasn't just the land they were stealing. It was my peace, my autonomy, my dignity. So I opened an old laptop, logged into a folder I hadn't touched in years, my startup. Exit docs. Millions. Sitting. Waiting. And I had a plan. I wasn't just going to stop them. I was going to ruin them. First step. Lawyers. Real ones. The kind that specialize in HOA overreach. Turns out, they'd built part of the resort on land that was technically unzoned, a gray area that I still owned, because of a loophole I'd found when I bought the place. A land vestige. Tiny clause. Big impact. Step 2, go corporate. I formed a shell LLC, Mirror Lake Holdings. Quietly bought up every available lot in the neighborhood. Used proxy buyers, offered over asking. People were thrilled. Next, I acquired a derelict marina across the lake. Got it reclassified as a commercial hub. And my LLC? Filed a multi-million-dollar counter-development permit. Deborah caught wind, panicked. Showed up at my door, wearing pearls, trying to negotiate. I handed her a cease and desist letter and told her she'd built a resort on land that I now controlled. Either shut it down, I said, or I sell it. All of it. She laughed. So I listed the property. Not just my house, the entire lakefront. All under Mirror Lake Holdings, and the bids started rolling in. From tech billionaires, eco-retreat startups, even a foreign diplomat. Then one offer landed. 9 figures. No questions asked. I signed the next morning. The HOA was dissolved within 2 months. Turns out the new owners had no interest in community oversight. They planned to turn the entire shoreline into a private wildlife sanctuary. Deborah, Evicted from her McMansion after violating a clause in the new community charter. Word is she tried to sue, lost. Neighbors started knocking again. Too late, I sold. Moved to a quiet ranch in Montana. No HOA, no neighbors. Just open skies and silence. The last thing I saw before I left, them tearing down the tiki bar. The sign fell face first into the lake. Perfect. They wanted a resort. I gave them an exit strategy instead. Some battles aren't worth fighting. But some, they deserve every ounce of fire you've got. I didn't just get justice. I got freedom. And let's be honest, a couple $1 billion didn't hurt either. Moral of the story? Never start a war with the guy who's been quiet the whole time. He's not ignoring you. He's calculating. If you made it this far, comment "justice served" below, or let me know what would you have done. Like, subscribe, and remember, don't mess with lake people. We bite back.